Hello everyone, or hello YouTube I should say. So, who am I? I'm Stephen Harper, and my project is to build a Volkswagen Corrado Vr6. In Ireland we have these stupid rules that, sorry I'm trying to get light in my face. So in Ireland we have these stupid rules that a Vr6, because it's a 3 litre or 2.9, the tax on it, I'm not joking, is €1,400. That's just tax. Then there's insurance, and 2/3 of all the petrol at the pumps is 2/3 of it is tax. So we pay an awful lot of tax, and all the tax is claimed to be road tax, but it isn't actually ring fenced to stay for fixing the roads. So it's a bit annoying. Although Charlie Haughey, which is a Taoiseach or the Prime Minister of Ireland, about 30 years ago, or about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, he brought in this rule that a car, once it hits exactly 30 years of age, the tax goes from whatever it was down to €56. Or I think it was 50, or it was something like 3 or 5 or something like that. But since it has come up, but it's currently sitting at €56, so it makes driving a vintage car an awful lot easier. The thing is though, who's going to drive a 30-year-old car, or 35, or as they get older? They're quite old, things are starting to go wrong in them. They're not new cars. To do even like motorway speed is nearly a challenge at 120 kilometers. There's Mars miners, they'll never hit that speed. I know someone is going to tell me, here's a souped up Mars miner with a supercharger, like 4-litre engine. No, but honestly, so the idea was, not everyone's going to drive an old car. However, as time has gone on, this 30-year bracket is also increasing as well. So it's now 2018, means 1988, all those cars are now vintage, so they have the cheaper tax. The thing is though, during the 90s, or maybe the 90s or 00, when there was a big boom and the world economy was doing great, there was also a scrappy system. So a lot of these, what are now classic cars, are all crushed and gone. So there's a few oddballs, a bit like me, who managed to buy them, keep them, and now that they've turned 30 years of age, think, oh, it's great fun now to do up this car. The only downside is, if you want a parts car, they're all gone. There isn't any. Or if there are, they've either been done up or they've been left outside, and Ireland has a very wet climate, so they've probably just rotted away, or they're not really good. So I am a huge Corrado nerd. I love Volkswagen Corrados, and I always said, so one day I will have a VR6 Corrado. About 10 years ago, I started driving a 2-litre 16-valve Corrado and loved it. Hated fixing the damn thing, but just driving it was amazing. I went from driving a Mark II G6, a GTI or GTD, a GTD, which is 1.6 turbo diesel intercooled. Again, see, we're caught in Ireland with tax. Like, I know in England and other places, tax is quite cheap, so you can afford to drive either newer cars or really, really do up your own car. Where in Ireland, we're just caught with the price of what we're paying, and it's a lot of money to invest into a car. So anyway, I drove the 2-litre 16-valve Corrado for a good few years, maybe about 4 or 5. Finding insurance was a nightmare because it's a Category 6 car, and basic Category 6 is 2-door sports coupe. And even though you could get say if you drove like a 1990 reg Corrado, which is a 1.8 16-valve, you could also get the exact same engine, in a GTI Golf. But the GTI Golf was categorized as a Category 4 and Category 5 car. Depending on how many doors you had, it depended which category you're in. So the more sporty and more souped up car you're driving, the faster you'd go. So they assumed that you'd pay more for insurance. which kind of made sense that there's very few GTIs and an awful lot of diesels left, because they were cheaper. The 4 doors again, cheaper again. So yeah, insurance in Ireland is kind of like spin the bottle. Who knows what you're going to get? Like, I could have a black Mark II Golf GTI. My best friend would have a black Mark II Golf GTI. We go to 2 different insurance companies, or even the same insurance company, on 2 different days. You both have both driving the exact same, like your twin brother, like say for that example, and you can still come out with different rates that you pay. It seems to just make no sense. Tax again, because you're paying on cubic capacity or litres, your tax is just so high that the bigger the engine, the more fun you're going to have, the more tax you're going to pay. So in 2007, the Green Party were in charge, and they delinked your tax to your engine size and linked it to your CO2 emissions. So now from 2007 onwards, all these cars are cheap, so you can now drive a 3-litre car if you really want, for quite low money. It's not going to be that low, but it's still going to be fairly low. Kind of the same thing, like, as cars have gotten, more technology has come on, obviously, like, you can get a 1.6 with like 120 or 130 horsepower, where you need a 2-litre 16 valve to produce 130 horsepower. So this is my plan. I'm going to spin the camera around and show everyone. So off back there behind the wheelie bin of sticks, there's a Corrado. There's also one there as well, and one there. Yeah, okay, I have a problem. So back there's a Lithuanian, so it's left-hand drive, and we drive on the right-hand side in Ireland. So that's a bit of a problem, but it's 1988. I found the little Lithuanian logbook, or your tax book, I suppose you'd call it, pig slips, and yeah, it's 1988. So that means that this year it's now turned 30 years of age. So I got caught on this once before, that it's the date of first registration. So if you drive a car and it's first registered on the last day of December of that year, if you register in January, you end up paying huge VRT, which is your vehicle registration tax. So it has to be on the date it's first registered. So let me explain it, maybe just real quick. So say, like, for example, you have a Volkswagen Corrado. So let's just pick this one here, the yellow one. So you buy the car, you pay VRT to register, so you have Irish number plates. So that's if you first buying it or buying it in from England. So just say, for example, if that was a Vr6, so your 2.9 litre, is it like V inline 6-cylinder, whatever Vr6 means. I know it's German. So to VRT it, I think it's €1,200 just for the number plates, to have it legal in Ireland, that you don't get stopped by the cops. Next thing is you have to tax it. So you can tax it for 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So the 12 months is 1,400, and then you also have to insure it. And because you're insuring not a vintage car, but say like an everyday car, so at 29 years of age, you can get caught with this. You could have high insurance, high tax, high VRT, and you're paying, if you're doing 30 miles per gallon or less, you're going to have bad fuel economy, and you're paying 66% tax in fuel. So basically the government is, yeehaw, get up, riding you silly. Yeah, so that's why the vintage car back there, my plan is to turn it into the engine code is EV, so it's a 1.8 8 valve, which I didn't know that they did them in 1988. I always thought it was like from 95, 96 onwards. They discontinued the 2-litre 16 valve and did a 1.8 or 2-litre 8 valve. So I didn't know they actually did a 1.8 8 valve. Now I checked, I don't think it's the same as a Mark II Golf GTI. Since then I've since sold the engine, so it's gone. So hopefully it wasn't a complete rarity and like worth loads of money, even though probably wasn't. So it's now gone. So there's a free engine bay. I also sold the pedal box, not thinking I'd ever do the car up. So that's a bit of a problem. I have to get a pedal box. It's left-hand drive, and we drive on the right-hand side. You can drive it as left-hand drive if you want in Ireland, but I kind of figured I have to do an engineer's report, which is probably about somewhere between €200 and €500 to do an engineer's report. So I have to budget that in. And if I turn it into a right-hand drive, it'll be included with the engine swap, so I won't have to do it separately. Years ago, I was given a 95 or 96 2-litre 16 valve, I think, but it was literally stripped down to nothing. It was just a shell. There was a rear axle. There was a bit of wiring loom. Not all the loom, just some of the loom. Like there was literally no doors, no sunroof, all the valuable bits were gone. But I did get the dash, and I kind of wanted the dash because the original idea was my own Corrado, sorry. It was a grey interior and it was a black interior, and the whole thing was to swap everything over, and it was a great idea. I did the carpet, which was a pain in the arse, but did it with then the idea of doing the dash, and then I kind of realised, the door cards would have to be changed. I didn't have any door cards because a black dash with grey door cards, it just looked a bit weird, so I never did it in the end. So I do have a right-hand drive dash, and I think the pedal box might be easy enough to get one of them. I have a steering column. I know the steering columns have coarse splines and tin splines. My brother has very kindly given me a Vr6. So years ago, in the boom when everyone was going a bit mad, he found a guy that was breaking a Vr6. I think it was a Vento, or the guy had done an engine swap into a Vento, but I don't know what it came out of. Maybe a Mark III, maybe an actual Corrado, or whatever Vr6s came out of. I'd have to look at the engine code. I don't think it's the AAA code. I think it's the other one. Is it ABF or AVF or whatever it is? I think it's the other one. I don't think it is a coil. I think the coils are built into the spark plugs. I think it's the newer one anyway. So it'll be a bit of fun to do that. So thankfully he's given me that for free. So I have an engine. I have a Vr6 engine. I always wanted a Vr6 Corrado. So I know like some people be like, well, why don't you go like 1.8 turbo, like, I don't know, or those engines from an Audi TT, which should be like 1.8 turbo with a 225 horsepower, and yeah, that would be so much fun. The only thing is, I know it's not going. I could say it's not going to be my everyday car. I'm not going to drive it as a daily car. However, in saying that, I did drive a Mark I Golf during the summer for, I think it was like 2 months or 3 months as a daily car, even though it's a vintage car, and I didn't care about how much it was costing me on fuel. The tax was cheap. Insurance is also cheap, and I absolutely loved driving just a classic car, roof down, sun out, everything was brilliant. So yeah, the Corrado, I'm not going to say it's going to be not an everyday car, but it could end up being an everyday car. And why am I going Vr6? I thought about this for a while, 20 valve turbo, the Audi TT, I'd love one of them. If you find a crash TT, just take the engine out, buy a 99 or 00 reg TT, strip it for parts, sell everything else off it. Yeah, I was given a Vr6 for free, so it kind of makes more sense. Also, just the sound out of a Vr6, and I have driven 2 Vr6s. The first one I drove Vr6 was a Vr6 Storm in green, and I also drove my friend's blue, I think it's 94 Vr6 in blue as well, in pearl blue, not aqua blue. Loved it. And there's a road that I drive every day, and when I'm on it, I drive a Passat, and you know how fast you can go, you know when to change gear, basically basically how much power the car has for that road. It's a long straight road. And when I sat into the VR6, he said, right, sit into it. Don't change gear unless you absolutely have to. Like, I don't mind. Just keep revving it. And I came back like this. First of all, leaving, like, you know, your face is just like, yeah, okay. This is kind of cool, like being back in the Corrado again. I came back and the smile was like side to side. It was brilliant. Just the incredible power. Just torque. Just go. This engine is like going, keep going. Don't bother change gear. Just keep going. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. Just the sound out of the Corrado as well. Just that lovely VR6 grunt. And everyone that's driven a Corrado or a VR6, even a Mark III, they just know what a VR6 sounds like. It is brilliant. Yes, you can go mad and you can VRT them, or VR6T, whatever it is. Yeah, it's basically turbocharge them. I've seen people supercharge them. I've seen people turbo supercharge a VR6 because they're just crazy for power. I am not going to go down that road. I am doing a straight VR6, non-turbo, just have it nice. So a little about me, I suppose. I'm from Ireland, obviously, as I've said it a few times. I'm happy, but I'm not incredibly well off. So any kind like Patreon or like GoFundMe kind of thing, I kind of do need the cash. I do have all the skills I do myself, so I can track it and set the camber and all that kind of stuff, and all the electric works. I've rewired Corrados, I've done all that kind of stuff. I know how the fiddly things like the spoilers and the sunroof and all the shite that usually goes funny on them. I know how to fix all that, and if I don't, I'll just keep chasing it till I learn how to fix it. So that's not really a problem. What I am looking for is like a bit of funding just to help. It's actually with the paperwork and with just getting the car from A to B, as in like from starting the project off to finishing it. I have welders, I have grinders, I have all that kind of stuff. It's like bushes, bearings, basically just all the stuff that kind of wears out on cars. That's what I'm going to have to replace. I think I haven't asked him, but my brother was like, he's like a magpie. He's able to find the best deals. And he has a set of, I think it's 312, no, not 312, 310 or 38 millimeter brakes from Mark IV that'll fit on a Mark III. It'll fit the VR6 anyway, because I have a VR6 subframe, but because it came out of a Vento, and I think the guy was running 14-inch wheels, he has 239s. I'm not joking, they are tiny wheels, or tiny brakes that are on the car, and I need to upgrade. And I'm not going to 180 or 280 millimeter for the VR6. I want to go bigger again, because I've driven these cars and they need a lot of braking. Not that you're going to be excessively fast. It's just like when you put that much time and effort into the car, it'd be awful to say you crashed because you just didn't have enough braking power. Also, I'm going to run like probably 16s or maybe 17s on the car as well. Not really sure what wheels. I'm going to convert the hubs to 4x100, not 5x100. Just because I think the 4x100s, there's just more choice of wheels out there. So probably a BBS RC in 17. I love them. The Borbet A's or Borbet Type A's, love them as well. Think I had, no, they're kind of a fake Type A. And then the Borbet BS, so they kind of have like these weird circles cut into it. Yeah, I like those kind of wheels. So probably I have all three of those sets, so that's kind of why I'm going with them. So I'm trying to like have the least amount of money spent into the car, but have a nice car at the end and do it up. So I suppose I should do a bit of a walk around. So this is the It's a 99 red or 90 reg Corrado. I should have stood here for the thing. It's much better light. But anyway, I've since converted over to TDI. That's one of a Passat, so it's a 1Z or Z1, whichever it is. Yeah, all running, works, everything. And I saw these on DDI, their website, Dub Design Industries. They had a blue Corrado with these novelty lights. So they were the only people in the world. So I did copy them. It is 100% DDI. They came up with the design, everything. But I absolutely love those lights. I thought they were like really, really nice. So I copied them and made my own. They're out of an Audi A4. I know someone's going to ask. So they're not road legal. The car's not currently on the road. So it's just fun to modify them and put them in. So coming over here, 2-liter 16 valve. Someone tried to paint it. It was a lovely red car, and they painted this horrible. If the original owner is listening, it's not horrible. It's horrible blue. Not very nice, but it's 2-liter 16 valve, G60 brakes. So that's 280 mil brakes. So I'm not going to break the car. But like there was lots of nice little parts on it. I was like, I could take them and put them onto my own 2-liter 16 valve. So this is just a car that I bought. It is VRT'd. Just it's never actually been driven on Irish roads. It came in from England. So I guess I'll bring you down to the... I should probably explain. I do live on a farm, and these are old sheds that we have. Like, I can do all the work myself. We have a welder, grinder, all the odds and ends of tools that you have. We have a pit, but we don't have a lift. That makes doing some jobs a nightmare. Other jobs, I think it makes it actually a little bit easier. But, yeah. So, I hope there's going to be enough light. If I stand to the side, there might be. So, this is the Corrado. This is the very first Corrado I ever bought. I bought it with Lithuanian plates. It didn't start. It had G60 brakes. It had this different springs, everything. Like, it was coilovers, but they were fancy coilovers. It had heated seats, Recaros. It had loads of stuff all in it. It didn't start, which was kind of annoying. And again, this is during the boom when everyone had loads of money, loads of ideas, and the cars were actually nearly making more as parts than they were together. So my plan was to break the car, have no love for it, break it, and sell all the parts and make money. And I sat into the car. I said, these are really nice cars. Like, the styling of them. I went off on a car cruise and I sat into a white G60 Corrado, and wow, it was gorgeous. The noise, the sound, everything. Even the owner was nice. So I chatted to him for a good bit, and then went off and bought my own Corrado. Looked at a red one. The red one had been in a crash, so that wasn't great. And second and fourth gear or something like that was grinding, so it wasn't looking good, and it was the only one that was in my price range. And then my brother, who is amazing at haggling, wheeling and dealing and all that kind of stuff, he put Mike to shame out of wheeler dealers. He found a 2-liter 16 valve Corrado with BBS wheels, BBS RC wheels. Everything about it was perfect. The owner had 9 Corrados. He'd bought one, sold it, bought one, sold it. And he was looking for the best example of a Corrado. And he went over to England, found it, brought it back to Ireland, and he said, this is the best Corrado. I cannot find another one good enough that is for sale. And he was doing up a Polo G40, and he was stuck for money. And in the ad, his first words were, I'm regretting this. And then he went on to tell me all about the car, or tell everyone else, I suppose, about the car. I looked at the car, loved it, but way outside my price range. And somehow my brother managed to convince them to give us the wheels included in the deal and accept less. And thankfully he did. And literally as he was handing me the keys, these two builders were walking home from their day's work. And they said, "Is that car for sale?" And I was like, "I've just bought it." And they'd been walking past the car for the last 2 weeks. And they were admiring the car every time they went past. And said, if we had known that that car was for sale, I would have walked in with my paycheck and bought it. So that was pretty cool. So unfortunately the car, it did and it didn't need work. Like bushes, bearings, all that kind of stuff wore out in the car, and it did need work. So I bought all that, and then it was those horrible grey interiors that no one actually likes. So the car had a black interior, so I took it out. Turned out the seats that were Recaros were fake Recaros, so I think they got sold, or did they get? They were ripped anyway. But there was heated seats in them. I tried to swap the heated seats out and tried to fix them up. Didn't really work. I did drive for about, I think it was a whole winter with one seat in the car because my own Corrado was leaking water. But I had one heated seat in the car out of the Lithuanian car. So that was nice. Yeah, it had, anything it had, I either used it on my own car or sold it. But it's a nice car. Like, there's no, as far as I remember, there's no dent. It's never been in a crash. All the panels are straight. There's no broken windows or anything. The driver mirror, which is the passenger mirror on an Irish car, but it's a right hand or left hand drive, so it'd be the driver mirror. That's missing. The passenger side, which is our driver's side, the window and motor's missing. Obviously, someone that drove an Irish reg car wanted it and took it, and they replaced it with a block of wood. Great fun when I found out. I was like, damn it, that was the point of having a parts car if the parts are already taken off it. I took the boot lock, loads of stupid things like that. I took the wipers, everything, like anything I needed, it was gone. The suspension, my brother took that. That's kind of why he's giving me the engine, because he took so many other parts off my cars. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So this is my plan, to drive a 1988 ex-Lithuanian Corrado from the factory. It has never been repainted. It has no sunroof. It's one complete shell. There's no sunroof. The other thing is it has no side indicators. So, these, if I wasn't standing in the light, these little side repeaters here, it doesn't have any side repeaters. There's little things like that were like unique about the car. So that's kind of why I bought the car as well. I said, like, there might be some super fan that wanted, like, I don't know, front quarter panels or front wings that had no side repeaters. And remember, this is 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, 10 years ago, when the big style of everyone was to flush all the cars. Like say for the example on the Corrado here, all the side moldings here, sorry where my hand is, light's rubbish in here, sorry, there you go. All these side moldings would all be removed. The door handles nearly be flushed down, where you have like maybe a button hidden in the mirror or like something here. The rain trays here, they'd all be flushed. Single wiper conversions, all these stupid things like so like on the boot, you can't see it in the light, but like the back number plates have them all flushed across, all this kind of ridiculous stuff. I never liked it, but the idea was, well, if the panel has no side repeaters from the factory, well, some super fan that's building a Corrado or modifying one would be like, yeah, I want those wings because they're factory non-repeater wings or something shite like that. yeah, so that was my idea. I suppose, sadly, I never made my money on the car. Still owes me money. Mostly because my brother took most of the fancy parts. But on the other side, yeah, it also came with no wheels, I remember. It came with Space Saver wheels, or space, the donuts wheels. I think it came with one steel wheel, and it was flat. So I didn't even get a nice spare wheel out of it. Yeah, there's no... Yeah, there's stuff like, I don't know, like, anything I needed off the car was taken. Like, even if I needed a bulb, anything I needed, it was gone. That car there, I think many, many years ago, it had been in a crash and everything got hit sideways. But all the panels, all the boot, everything, or the bonnet, everything opens and closes perfectly. You cannot tell it has ever been a crash. I think it's because everything has shifted over slightly. So the subframe from the Lithuanian car is actually in this car. All new parts were put into this, apart from the K-frame or the subframe. All the nuts and bolts, because I think I lost most of them. Oh yeah, and this car was underneath. All the nuts and bolts were rusted. It had been like in salt or something, I don't know. But the metal itself was grand. It was just the nuts and bolts were rotten. So I took all the nuts and bolts, the subframe, everything, and put them all into this car. So that car is now missing a load of stuff. I was hoping on buying a 96X, a Vr6 that had the engine, all the running gear removed. So it's just basically a running shell. And basically take it and strip it of wires and put all the wiring loom, everything into that one. Because unfortunately now, the engine that I'm getting is a right-hand drive. And the loom that's currently in the car is left-hand drive. And if anyone knows Corrado's and Mark II Golfs, the fuse box is underneath the driver's feet. So it means I either have to cut the loom from the Corrado or cut the loom from the engine to extend the wires either one way or the other way across the car. So that'll be a bit of a pain. It'll probably more likely be, I'd say the engine, because it'd be easier, because it's 3 white plugs called G1, G2 and F, I think. The only thing is the fuse box will still be in the wrong side, so you nearly need to move it across to be underneath the driver's side. And underneath the driver's side is a nest of wires. I've rewired this car and another car, and there's just stuff everywhere. Also, the 1988 car, you can actually see how Volkswagen has changed from building the car. So 1988, 1990, 92, and my own car's a 93. And between all four cars, you can see how the wiring they've tried to simplify it as much as they can, change stuff around, but also some of the stuff they've either made it redundant or there was like more earths, less earths, that kind of way, and stupid things like that. And even the ABS. So anyone that's had an ABS fault knows what an absolute pain it is. So in the Lithuanian car, 1988, it had this huge big block of an ABS pump, and if anyone's ever taken the front hubs of Corrado or even I suppose a 93, there's a ring with a load of little gaps in it. And I was like, oh, brilliant, because I don't know, somehow one of mine broke. And I was like, okay, I'll just take it off this car and put it onto that car. And between the two cars, so it comes up like a straight line and goes across with the ring. And I can't remember which way it is, so it's either on the 93 or on the 88. One goes like that, and one goes like that. So even the sensors can't even pick up the ring. So you can see how it is a bespoke car. It is kind of handmade. I know it's in a factory still, and yeah, but you could see how every year, I think from 1988 or 1989, whenever the Corrado came 30 years of age, as it went on, yeah, you could see how everything was progressing. I know someone's going to say, why don't you look at the VIN code on the car, or the car somewhere back there. Yeah, I do know where it is. It's on top of the engine bay, just there. At the exact moment, I cannot even tell you what engine code is in it, or what the VIN code is. I don't know how many cars it was off the production line or anything like that. But that's my plan. So I'm going to build this VR6, and I'm going to try and record as much as I can about it. But if I could get some funding, it would be brilliant, because, engineer supports had to be done on the car once I convert it. If I put any engine, apart from its own engine, it has to be converted because the insurance company won't stand over it. Insurance was, it's like 1,200 or a bit more. Thankfully for vintage cars, guns that turn 30, it's down to about €300, depending again on your engine size, but they are fairly relaxed about it. But it's not going to be what it was. Tax €56, insurance, tax. We do an NCT, which is National Car Test, or car roadworthy test, basically like an MOT. Just make sure that everything works, like that you don't have like a seized caliper or anything like that on the car. Your handbrakes work, your lights, indicators, they test all that kind of stuff, which is good. They don't test high emissions, only low emissions, which kind of helps. I think I have not a stainless steel system for the exhaust, but I do have a Vr6 high flow, I think it's called, cat middle box and back box, which would be kind of nice. But on the car, it's a letterbox style, not stainless. I think it's 2.5 or 3 inch, and should give a nice grunt out of a Vr6 going through it. Seats, I have years and years ago, when I first got my Corrado, I went to a car show. There was either a Lithuanian or a Polish guy at it, and he had a left-hand drive Corrado, and he had these seats that had fire. They're cream with fire sewn into them. And basically, when he was going home again, he was leaving his Corrado here, and he decided to break it for parts. And this is in the middle of a recession. And basically, no one wanted the seats because they were cream leather. If they were black, everyone would want them. No one wanted cream ones. This guy, that's about, I don't know, 200 miles away. He's from Galway, I think, or Sligo. Bought them. Only wanted the rears because they'd fit into his Mark II, because he had cream fronts and he didn't like the fire design. So he had them. So he has a VR6 cream back seats in a Mark II. I'm sure it looks nice. I'd love the seats back if you're listening to this. So I only have the fronts. I don't have any door cards, so there's that. I would love a set of black leather, or what I currently run in my own Corrado is, I think they're either American or Canadian half leather. So they're leather just on the sides, cloth in the middle, and the cloth is a grey with a red pinstripe going through it. And I think they're lovely. So they don't burn the ass off you in summer, and they don't freeze it off you in winter, but they still look stylish because they're in leather, and they kind of have that at car shows and stuff like that. They still like have a nice shine off them. So that'd be kind of cool. Wheels to that, brakes to that, engine to that. What else is there on the car? Basically, that's it, kind of thing. Paint. There was one thing, actually, I remember. It was just on the arch back here, and one of my friends, his father was over, and he's a panel beater, and I don't know, he had the tools in his car, and I kind of said to him, like, would you mind just whacking it out, like? And it wasn't crushed in or anything. It was just like someone had like gotten their knee and literally like drove it in, that kind of way. And yeah, it went in about that depth. So it was a proper like duck egg compression. but he just tapped it and it just came back out. Like, I know it didn't like pop out. It's not a plastic piece, it was a metal piece. But yeah, he got it out. So I think apart from that, maybe somewhere over the arch. I think that's the only one like that the paint might be a little bit cracked on. But after that, the paint's grand. Can't think of anywhere else really on the car. Everything seems to be okay on it. There is the original lights, so if you can see there, they're the orange on top of the red. And I would like to go to clear, the crystals, which is red over white or see-through, I suppose you'd call it. Front lights, I need front lights. I need a front grille. I think I don't have indicators. I do have fog lights, I think, for it. Because when I bought the car, the reason why I actually have these lights on this car is on the Lithuanian one. These are the headlights of it, and they were smashed. There was no glass in them. They were literally, someone got a hammer and smashed both of them. So there's no actual glass in them. So I have chopped these up. These will never be on the road again. So like from back here, it's all just chopped. It's gone. So that was to get the A4 lights in. There's plexiglass now just over them, just to kind of finish off the look. Yeah, I need headlights. I need indicators. Probably will need fog lights because I don't even know if they're broken or not. Actually, they might be actually on this car. They might be it. Okay, maybe I do need that. I need a bottom lip or bottom spoiler, I suppose you'd call it. It's gone. What else? The wings are okay. Bonnet. Oh yeah, the bonnet. So I let down the. So on all the cars up to 92, I think, maybe 91, 92, before they released the Vr6. So the bonnet here comes across, goes down, comes across, comes up, and that's the Corrado bonnet. So for the Vr6 sat that much taller and would hit the bonnet. So the engineers figured out, well, just put it in reverse. So it actually goes down, comes up, and then goes back down again. So the complete opposite. And I don't have a bonnet, so I need a bonnet. The windscreen's good, wipers good. That's the mirror. But the other mirror's missing, so that's actually the mirror off that car. So I'm currently using it, so I will need another one. Seats, I need a pedal box. Yeah, I think obviously need a whole dash. I think I have the majority of the dash. I need the steering wheel. I need clocks. I think all the door cards. The carpet's currently still sitting in the car. So running gear underneath. The engine I'm getting off my brother for free. Well, I'm not getting it for free. I'm just not paying him. So it's kind of like that. I think it comes with a subframe, and it comes with like literally someone had literally chopped the whole car off. Like they obviously didn't. Like I don't think there's suspension, but I think there's the front hubs, the whole way across, like the drive shafts, everything is there. The ECU, I think even the fuse board, everything is there. So I just need a rear axle. And I think my brother might also have a rear axle that's polybushed. So I've never driven a car with polybushes. Talked to a few people, and one guy was all delighted that the whole car was polybushed, and he was delighted with it. Asked him a year later, I was like, what do you think of it? Like, they're all gone. I took every one of them out. The car was impossible to drive. It was like driving on stones or on concrete. There's no giving them. So yeah, it's 50-50. I've done the rear axle polybushes or rear axle bushes in 2 Corrados and a Vento, and it's probably one of the worst jobs I can think of doing, and I would nearly ask someone to do it for me than do another one. So I can understand why someone would go polybush, because it's just 2 half cups and you just shove them in and then put a pin through the center and you're done. To do it on do a normal bush into a rear axle, I used to get out a blowtorch, set fire to the bush, knock out the bush, collapse the shell back into itself, knock the whole lot out, grease the crap out of the new one, and I had special pullers I welded up, and you would pull and pull, and pull the new bush back in, and it's just a horrible job. I need brakes as well, but I think there might be a rear axle. I don't think it's a Vr6 one. I think it's just a 16 valve, which is grand because I'm wanting narrow track. I'm going to go with 4x100 hubs. It means I take 4x100 wheels. The wheels, because I'll be running either 280, or I'm going to try go all the way up to 310 or 38, whatever it is. I'm still going to try and run 4x100, but probably at 16s or 17s, whatever will fit. I need door handles. I need a fuel tank. So I asked this on a Facebook page called Burn All the Corrados, and asked, I'm going to do a Vr6 swap. I have a 1.8 or basically a 16 valve or a 1.8 valve fuel pump. Will that be enough, or how do can I make it fit? Or if the floor pan in the boot is different, will a Vr6 tank even fit? Because they're different capacities, they're different liters capacity in them. And one guy just said, nope, he's done the swap. He's driving a Vr6 currently out of a 16 valve, and he's still running 16 valve fuel pumps, and it makes no difference. So I don't know. If anyone doesn't know, so on a 16 valve, same with a Mark II GTI, you have two pumps. The first pump lifts the fuel out of the fuel tank, and drops it into the secondary fuel pump. And the secondary fuel pump brings up the pressure and pushes the fuel up to the engine, so it's pressurized fuel. And on the Vr6, I think the whole lot is done in one go, but the fuel pump is actually all of it is sitting inside the fuel tank, not underneath the rear axle. And if anyone's ever driven Corrados or Mark II Golf GTIs, you'll know that the fuel pump or the fuel filter is underneath the rear axle, which is a great idea until you actually go to change the damn thing, and you realize there's so much water corrosion crap under there that they're just so difficult to remove. I had 4 fire extinguishers, a nearly empty fuel tank, and buckets of water. I hosed the underneath side of my Corrado down, and the bolts were, whoever did it, I think they nearly used Loctite. They were that tight. I had to use a flame torch and warm up the bolts, turn everything off, wait, make sure nothing caught fire, and very carefully undid all the nuts. And it was absolutely painful to do. Nothing happened, like I didn't catch fire or anything, because I think I had all the lines drained and everything, but still, though, you want to be super careful with that kind of stuff. And it was a stupid idea putting it underneath. Like on the diesel cars and everything, just about here in the engine bay, all the fuel filters are. Same with like any of the modern day cars, they're all in the engine bay. So I don't know what possessed Volkswagen to put them underneath the car. The fuel lines will still get dirty regardless where really they are. So not like that they're saying right from the fuel pump all the way to the engine it's clean. I think they're still going to be dirty anyway. But on the Lithuanian car, I assume like they just have different rules of the road or whatever, but all the windows apart from the driver window are tinted. So that window's good, but all the rest of them are tinted all the way around, which is a bit weird. I won't pass an NCT or a national road test with tinted windows, so your driver window cannot be tinted, your passenger window cannot be tinted, and I'm not sure about the back window. I think you might be allowed with the back window and the rear passenger windows. So that would mean that, say if this was the car, this would be a clear window, that'd be blanked off, that'd be blanked off, and the far one blanked off, and then you have the three front ones would all be see-through, and I think it's going to look a bit weird, to be honest. Like, I don't know. It'd be kind of like half the car is nearly see-through-ish white, and then the next half is all black tinted. So what I think I might do is maybe just detint everything. I know, like, again, like, these are all, like, styles from maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when the whole culture was like, oh, like, what is the maximum amount of stuff we can do to a car? And one of them was like, oh, tint all the windows. And I think there's nearly like limo tint. It's so dark. Yeah, but we're not going to pass any roadworthy tests with that. Like, I've worked on these cars, and they are basically Mark II Golfs, even Mark I Golfs. They're not that difficult. Like, all the running gear, it's basically the same stuff, and it's the same shit that wears out all the time. CV joints, ball joints, track rod arms, drop links for the anti-roll bars, all of that's the same. For the rear axle, unfortunately, those feckin' bushes in the rear axle, it's the same suspension for Mark II and Mark III for Corrado. They're all the same. I think they're different from Mark I, but all, like, for Mark II and Mark III, they're all the same suspension. They're cheap suspension. I'm going to try run either OEM original springs or else sorry, my hand was moved, or else just lowering springs. And at the moment there's coils in that and lowering springs in that, so I might just have to rob them out of that for the time being. Yeah, like, loads of things like that. I'm actually really looking forward to the project. One of the things why I wanted a parts car is literally where the steering wheel comes out and your brake and all the other things. There's holes in the firewall, and I'm going to have to literally just measure and recut all those holes again. My original idea was buy this Vr6 car, take the loom out of it, take every part off it. It still has the brakes, running gear. Don't think it has drive shafts. It has all the other stuff. But also then, literally with an angle grinder or a plasma cutter, cut the whole footwell out, just on the driver's side, and then do the same on the Lithuanian car, and just weld it back in. But like, have it stepped, like, have it just slightly stepped, that you can just do plug welds then, or like drill through it and then just plug weld it and then seam weld it, so it's really well done. But it also means that, like, apart from making sure that the whole thing is actually, like, sitting in the right place, that's not like a mil or like a centimeter too high or a centimeter too low, it would actually all fit, and it'd be a very fast way of doing it. The other thing, see, I'd be getting the dash, I'd get everything out of it, I'd get the whole wiring limb. Unfortunately, the guy last year, or maybe 2 years ago, offered me the car, and there was so much stuff missing, and it had been sold off it before he got to it. He was going to do it up or turn it into a track car, then lost interest in it, but he bought it at a kind of a high price that now he doesn't want to sell it at a low price, but there's not enough parts in it to justify paying a very expensive price. I could probably keep an eye out and probably either buy the parts separately for so cheaper, or else hopefully find a whole Corrado for a little bit more and break it for parts. I hate saying break it for parts because I think they are gorgeous cars. I know the mirror and everything looks a bit bad in this, and this car's painted again 1990, so it's another 2 years to wait, or a year and a half. And yeah, it needs paint, it needs maybe better wheels, all that kind of stuff. But like, overall, they are lovely cars. Like, I've driven Mark II Golf, and it's somewhere over there in the distance. It was grand. I won't lie, it was my very first Volkswagen. Loads of shit went wrong with it. I was huge learning curve to learn how to fix stuff. But yeah, I thought they were just a paper box with wheels. Like, I don't want Mark 1 since, and they're even more of a paper box with wheels. But as soon as I sat into the Corrado, there was a different build quality. It was built better, maybe better steel, maybe thicker gauge steel. Definitely when you close the doors, that kind of stuff, it just goes clunk. Like, you're closing something. And in the Mark II Golf, they're just very light. The thing I love about the cars, though, especially the Mark II and the Corrado, is they're like Lego cars. Like, you get one piece, you undo it, get another car, you stick it back in. It's very easy to, say, like, buy a low-grade car or a low-spec car and turn it into a high-spec car. All the seats are interchangeable. Wheel, suspension, engine, fuse board, everything is kind of easy to swap. The only thing I'm kind of nervous about doing is swapping the steering over. So it's kind of two prongs that sit out, maybe it's like that sit out either side, and then your whole steering wheel assembly kind of bolts into it. And yeah, I'm not really looking forward to basically drilling out the spot welds, moving it across, and re-welding it again. That's why I was kind of hoping to get the parts car, because you could take it out of it, move it across, and weld it back up again. And if for some reason you did an awful job, a horrible job, or I don't know, if it's kind of like goes across, comes up, and does this kind of weird shape or something, you just cut the whole part out rather than, and be left-hand drive to right-hand drive. These parts mightn't be swappable across, where you're turning a right-hand drive into a right-hand drive. You're just cutting it out of one car and putting it back in the same place into another car. It might make life much easier. And also, if I cut any parts out of that Lithuanian car, I mess it up. It's going to be, even though I decide, right, it's not worth it, just keep it left-hand drive. If I start cutting bits off it, it's going to be very hard to say, right, I haven't ruined the car. I haven't, I can actually, drive it still. I know, there's people here, and they've built cars from, scratch and all this kind of stuff. And, yeah, I understand that. And, it can't be that far out. It's yeah. But, they did crash test these cars and stuff like that. And if you start messing too much, in the worst case scenario, and you're in a crash, even if you're a good driver, you could still have some drunk fool that runs into you, either from behind or in front of you, or, you stop at traffic lights and someone's not paying attention or texting and there are three cars back and one car runs into the next car, that kind of shit. You just want to know that you've welded everything right and, everything is done correctly and nothing's, half-guessed. But they are my favourite car. I do love them. I do think that they're a lovely... You're sitting in a nice place, they look well on the road. They still look a little bit futuristic or kind of modern. I know there's an awful lot of square, straight lines in that. One person said, yeah, they do kind of look like a DeLorean, and a DeLorean's also a car I would love to own, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, maybe they do. Maybe it's the wing mirrors, or the fact that they kind of come across. It's kind of that very boxy kind of look to the car, the big bumper grill here, and I don't know. They kind of do. They're great fun to drive. Absolutely unbelievable. I got a spin in so I've gotten a spin in a lot of cars, especially a lot of Corrados, because I got talking to owners and stuff. And basically, if I see one for sale, and I think it's nice, or I'll ring the owner up and say, look, I'm not going to buy your car. I'm going to tell you straight out, I'm not going to buy your car. But I would love a spin in it. I've never gotten a spin in, say, a G60 that was first or second or third or fourth, whatever it is, staged, and all this kind of weird stuff that he did to it. So I got a spin in this Vr6, or in a G60. And it's the only time I've ever said to someone, pull over, I'll walk home. He was mental. And if he's still alive, fair play to him, because he was just unreal at driving, like, but not in a good way, in a bad way. Like, I'm pretty sure we went around corners on three wheels. Like, you could actually hear the back of the car going burp, 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 as we were like horsing around. Maybe we're up to like 120, 140, 150 kilometers on a not a 120-kilometer road. And I was like, shit, we're going to die, like. But the spoiler on the back, so there is a spoiler there, and at speeds it pops up, and then when you're going slow enough, it retracts back in. So it's kind of cool. So like when you're driving on the road, it's up. When you get to traffic lights and there's cars behind you, it just retracts back in. You're like, yeah, I'm driving something proper here. Yeah, and thankfully the spoiler went up because people go, oh, it's so small, like it hardly does any downforce. It does. Like, I've driven cars where I have my own car and the spoiler stopped working, and you could actually feel when you're on the motorway and even turning it, it had this kind of like it's nearly like wanting to drift, or like this kind of hop on it. The only reason his one hopped was because he was driving far too fast with ball tires on probably not great roads. But overall, like, I think they're a fabulous car. They're just fun. And they kind of do stand out. They are the black sheep of the family, I suppose, that people say. Like, they still have the big front bumper, which is like what the big bumper Mark II Golfs have. And yeah, you could see maybe a bit of sack kind of in the rear and that kind of stuff. But I think they're a two-door sports coupe that you could afford to drive, that handles like it's on railroad tracks. I'm not joking, it really does handle like it's on railroad tracks. You aim it and it kind of goes that direction. So if you go that way, it goes that way, or that way, whatever. But the camera angle is a bit messed up. But you get what I mean. I think they're brilliant cars, and yeah, I'm hoping to turn this Lithuanian now into a Vr6 that's on the road. And I'm going to say my goal is summer 2019. Hopefully the very start of the summer. So whenever that kind of starts, I suppose. So thanks for watching. I know I think I talked so much, but that kind of gives you an idea of just how much of a fan about these cars I am. And if you can help out in any kind of way, I would love that. I have wiring diagrams, I have all that kind of stuff, so I'm all right that way. But financially, I could do with the help. Yeah, so I suppose if you have 3 cars there, and one of the other shit that's was my daily driver for a long time. Yeah, I have a problem. There's actually something wrong with me, but no, they are brilliant cars, and I do I'm driving Passat at the moment, and it's bloody reliable. It really is reliable. It's never really let me down. The odd little one or two things that happen to it, I don't know, sensors go on or something, but overall 100% never let me down. Corrado has let me down, mostly due to previous owners or ex places where he was getting stuff worked on. But yeah, I think they're brilliant cars, and I hope to have mine back on the road. Well, my new car back on the road. Thanks for watching.